Respected speakers, dear students, all the participants joining us in person and online, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. I, Dr. Maria P. Khan, welcome you all in the workshop entitled Ensuring Ethical Excellence, a workshop on responsible conduct, publication ethics, and dual use dilemma in education. This workshop is organized by Sindh Innovation Research and Education Network Siren working under the guidance of Government of Sindh and International Center for Chemical and Biological Sciences. Um, our speaker is our very dear teacher, Professor Dr. Zabda Khan Shinwari, and let me take an honor to introduce our dear respected speaker. Um, he got his doctoral degree from Kyoto University, Japan, and has got several postdocs and fellowships in Japan. He is a vice chancellor of World Commission of Ethics in scientific knowledge and technology since 2016. He also has a privilege of being youngest vice chancellor of Pakistan and has served Pakistan Museum of Natural History, National Agriculture Research Center, WWF Pakistan, and CONSTAT. Some of his major achievements include higher education facilities to the neglected communities, particularly females. He has also crowned of establishing the University of Science and Technology in Bannu and found KUSC Institute of Medical Sciences. He is also a focal person of Alliance of International Science Organizations between 2016 to 2022 and has received several awards, including Best Teacher Award from HEC and the Sina Gold Medal Award by UNESCO in 2015 in the recognition of his awards in ethics in science and technology and has received prestigious title of Distinguished Scientist from Chinese Academy of Sciences in 2019 to 2022. So with this, I would like to call Dr. Zata Shanwari to please start the workshop. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's indeed always a pleasure to be here in Karachi, ICCBS. Today, because of I was around for another meeting, so we thought we discuss something very important to you, and that is regarding ethics. I had divided into 4 sections, but we will try as per the the time available to us. We will be having that much of presentations. So the first one, what I thought was, you young people doing science and are in a process of publications and writing papers and theses and all that. So the division that I have done for the today's workshop, and you will be getting, by the way, those who are online, I had promised to them that they will get a certificate of attendance, because internationally you need this information for your career, that if you write a paper, who can be your co-author, whom should you acknowledge, who cannot be an author, etc., etc. So these some basic questions that we all should know at this age when you're starting your career, because internationally and in Pakistan too, a major issue is gift authorship. Some people would request you, and I received several, requests. Oh, sir, my PhD, I have just this one paper will make my career and all that. So we are, having such kind of things every day. But how can you gift something which is your intellectual property? You cannot even gift it to your own sister and brother, leave aside, or your whoever. So that is the responsibility that you have. So today, we'll try to make it more interactive. We'll pose you several questions and you can write it, you write it later on. I'm grateful to Dr. Nadeem, who is coordinating all this event. He will be then, it's not sort of exam. We want to dig out your brain, and I will give you answers too. Because of time, we will not be having those sort of, you can compare it to yourself, what you said, and what actually you should be thinking about. So, when why we talk about ethical behavior in academia, these are several reasons. And The first is you are the top brain of the country. You are the privileged class of the country. You are the only 2-3% of the country reaching to the PhD level or MPhil level. So you are the privileged class. And if you don't have integrity, whom else can we imagine that they will be having some kind of principles or some kind of, uh, you know, uh, thing that we could expect from those people who are vendors, who are shopkeepers, who you believe they should be having integrity if you don't have. So that is the first academic integrity, that we should be a role model for the society. We should be people who the society gets admire and send their children to universities. Money is not an issue. Money should be secondary for you. I mean, you guys can earn a little bit, even having some tuition or something. That's the secondary thing. You are something very special. You are academic people. And then there is a in our society, polarized society like we have in Pakistan, there is a trust deficit overall. No, nobody believes nobody. I mean, you even at your home, when you say, sometimes you feel that whether he is correct or she is correct or not. So that is at least if we try to build a trust and credibility of the scientist, of the academia, कि ये तो एतबार के काबिल हैं. So that is the second thing. Thirdly, research quality. Now, we are publishing a lot. Pakistan and Egypt were declared in 2018 as per capita publication at the top of the list in the world. Lot of publication. But yesterday too, I spoke a little bit. What's the use of those publications for the society? Why should they invest in you? Why should they build so many buildings and lab for you? What are they getting out of it? So that is another one, that we safeguard the research quality and the public trust, ensuring fairness and equity. What we should be doing is, of course, you are privileged to be in Karachi or somebody in Quaid-e-Azam University or in Islamabad, in Lahore. But what about if somebody is in Khuzdar and another one is in Upper Dir and somebody is in Gilgit and somebody is in Kashmir? So what we call it, if you collaborate, if you think this country is one and you are one, what we call it, not equality, but equity. Help them, hand holding of those scientists, of those people, of those students who are marginalized, who are living far on the mountains and trying to educate themselves. So that is how we could collaborate. For example, they can have plants for you from those higher altitude, you can have research, and then you can collaborate and write. You use your lab, they use their material. This is how. And many other things like in geology, in zoology, in any of the life sciences, etc. And then you set a positive example. You few people, if you today promise with me, for example, at the end of the workshop, that you will be the one who will follow integrity. You will be the one who will be role model, a mentor for the coming generation. So my job is done. Because even if I have today spoken to 100 people, and 10 out of them say that I will try my best to be a person who always speaks truth, what may come, and stands on the principle. And that's another. Then the legal consequences. If you are writing, if you are plagiarizing, if you are having data which is fabricated, you may go in trouble. And there are several nowadays, because of digital technology, it's very easy to catch the culprit. So if you do anything wrong, that's another thing that we want to warn you, that internationally too. If you claim, you send your CV that I have this number of publications, they check, they find something duplication or something, data fabrication, you will be in trouble. So that is the other question that we have. And then positive learning and promoting academic excellence. बेटा ये सब ऑनलाइन सुन रहे होंगे, it's okay? Good. Now, today, just in these couple of hours, what we do is 3-4 things that I will be doing. One, Awareness of responsible conduct, which I gave you a background. Two, publication ethics. When you write something, what are your responsibility as an author, as a senior author, to obey those things? And that includes authorship, plagiarism, peer review, research integrity. Several things that we'll be talking. Then dual use dilemma. If I found time, this is very important. Once I was having a meeting with senior professor, and I said dual use of education. He said, "Sir, come on, what are you talking about? Dual use of television, we heard. Dual use of mobile, we heard. Good and bad use. But in education, and believe me, education is the most misused sometimes. When I say education, it includes research. You can have a virus, you can try to have a vaccine for that, you can try to have a bio weapon of that. Very simple. And nowadays, with the knowledge that you have, you can easily, do things that may go wrong for the whole society. You contaminate one individual, and that can spread to the whole humanity. So that's what you should be knowing the basics of dual use dilemma. Guidelines and strategies for the things, and ethical standards, if we could find, how can we do that? So this is the overall theme. We try 2 hours, and I'm also trying to have an interaction with you, try to involve you in several things if I could. The first one, as I said, responsible conduct in research and education. What is that? You understand the principles. You may have heard it. You may have. How many of you, let's have this way, how many of you had opportunity to hear these things which I talked in the beginning, in your career, in your life, or in your institute, or wherever, about research ethics, about research conduct, responsible conduct, about ethics in publication, and about dual use of education? Can you raise your hand? How many of you are aware of the subject that I'm talking to you? How many of you? Good. So you can help me, assist me in teaching. 4 of you. So which means it's 10% here, and maybe few are online. Some of my students are online. So because we have a regular course in our university, so only 10%. Right? Good, but still, what we need is and now we'll be taking on board them when we go a little bit more in deep. So then the second one is the publication ethics, which is about authorship and collaboration ethics. If you are collaborating with somebody in US and somebody in Europe, how could you expect and they expect to write names where? Principal, second, corresponding, whatever. So all those basic principles that we will be having. And Nadeem Sahib, do you have registered them for their certificates, etc.? Yes. Because yesterday we were in a meeting and I invited my foreign friends. Thanks for coming. So they may be getting, I promised them that we'll be giving them certificates, etc. So you said certificate online. Oh, yeah, good. So all of you give your email to Nadeem Saab. Those who are online, they are already registered. And you guys, so that you could get a certificate. They are also registered. Good, very good. So how to write, when you are collaborating internationally or nationally, how could you be having this understanding with each other as an authorship or a patent or intellectual property, all those issues. And two, how to avoid plagiarism, self-plagiarism. For example, you had a apple tree and you are working in it and you are publishing 100 paper. Oh, the apple was red. There was a slight white line. Oh, there was something like that. So there are a lot of things that people multiply their own work. And the dual use dilemma that I spoke to you several times. Now, a question to you. I leave this to you, and you have to write. Number one, issues and challenges. And I take this issue, which is bias in research and teaching. I'm here. How good a mentor am I for you, for example? If I prefer my students, those who speak the same language, those who are from my village, those who have some relation, those who have some kind of a color or a gender or whatever, biases in the research and education. What comes to your mind? Or what did you experience? So please write down. And then I will be showing you some biases, and you can check your mind and actually what happens. So types of biases, क्या होती हैं? Please, if you could help me out, I will be asking one by one. And the principal, when I teach in my classroom, everybody has to speak. And once who speaks once should not speak unless everybody has spoken. तो हम किसी को, nobody is, extra brilliant and nobody is handicapped. Everybody has a brain. So somebody is shy of speaking, somebody is shy of writing, somebody. So I try to do interactive and involve each one of you. So that's why when I will be coming, I will be coming to each one of you regarding issues, and I'm raising several other issues. So number one, for you, bias in research and teaching. What are the types of biases? कौन सी है? Two, consequences of those biases in your life or in somebody else's life. What happened to them? To the mentor or to the mentee or to the student and the teacher? And mitigating bias. What are your views? How to mitigate those biases? When we say freedom of education, freedom of expression, keeping in mind like we are Eastern culture, and the good of our Eastern culture is we respect our elders, we respect our teacher, we have a, so when we pose even question, when even if we challenge with respect and dignity, but we should challenge. And last one, which I will be posing to you, is ethical issues in collaboration and how to address them. If you are in your country, what challenges did you face or you will be facing or you have faced or you are having in your mind when you want to collaborate with any other organization? Like I said, you may collaborate within the country, in the mountains with the people, asking them to send you material or something, or you will be using your land labs, or you will be using chemicals and money and things on you, or many, many things. So if you are involved in collaboration, either inland or outside, what do you expect? What should be there? And there is then publication, then there's a fever publication, etc., etc. And what is solution in your mind? How should you address them? How could those problems be overcome? So these are the questions. I give you 2-3 minutes just to observe this, and I'm coming next. Next, there are answers. I will not be checking now because of the time, but just want to explore your mind, to keep it to yourself, and then, compare it what I'm telling you now. Or you are better keeping online people with you. So if there is any raise of hands, if somebody wants to ask question online, please address and tell me. And secondly, my request to online people are, please write your whatever you feel in the chat box, and then we will be, responding to you. The online students are requested to write their thinking, their question, their feeling, their comments in the chat box, and those chat box will be given to Dr. Nadeem Saab, who will be responding to you later on. So if there are any comments from the online people, you can later on, after tomorrow sometime on email, you can respond to that. Great. Okay, so moving on. I'm not involving you now, because, let's have it. This is biases in research that are. आपने भी कुछ, you must have written something, and can you suggest number one? What is number one? Whoever? Yeah, ये पहले वाला. You want to say? Yeah, please. You are the first one, and I appreciate you are sitting here. So what is number one? I don't know whether this one. Design bias. When you design a project, sometimes biases come there. The way you design it, the way you keep, so who could be involved. For example, if you design a project where someone has to go deep in the dark, in the mountain, in the midnight to see bats, for example. Now, in our environment, female may be at a disadvantage. They may not be, able to go there. So the biases, if you are designing for someone, it comes there. Two, anybody else? Selection bias, good. And could you explain it a bit of it? Like sometimes you like some student and give them some better project, and the other one gets some difficult project, the third one gets some like this. So selection bias in research and teaching. Okay. Third one, procedural biases. There too, you are biased with the way the design of the project then leads to the procedure. How will you handle the project? And there are biases. And here then, reporting biases. Someone from the back. What is reporting bias in research? Fabricate the data. You have analyzed 10 people data, for example, you're doing some clinical trial or some other trial on anything, and you say it was 100, you multiply just with 10. So that is the reporting biases. And finally, data collecting biases. So move on. Now here, the explanations. And if you could kindly, those who have not spoken yet, the selection bias, what we said was, what you think was, actually it is. Who is going to speak? Selection bias, just this sentence. Yeah, one of you, please, go ahead. For example, you are doing a science for diabetic medicine, for example, and you have done it only with this, with one kind of a society or people who represent only one group of people. Let's say all have blood group A, or let's say they are all Pathans, or let's say they are all Sindhis, or let's say, because now you are well aware of genomics and individual personalized medicine, etc., etc. There are several things. So this, when you choose participants and you work on it, there is a bias, there is a problem. जी बेटा जो आपने अगले confirmation bias, yeah, you. Yeah, so the tendency to favor information. You already have some belief, you have some values, and your mind is, not unbiased. You say that the earth is round or something. I mean, you have already something in your mind, and you don't go. Our values in your culture, for example, that always having a scarf is a good thing, for example. I'm not going into religion. So you have some kind of a, already in your mind. If somebody says there is some problem, this or blah, blah, or a mask, for example, if you have already a bias, if you have a mask, you will have, some problem or something. Your mind has already some problem with it. So things like that. Publication bias. Yeah. Yeah. So positive statistic, as I said, that your data is not representative. You have fabricated. And last one, teaching bias. Yeah, loud, please. Teaching bias in the classroom bias can major forms such as favoritism, unequal treatment, or the omissions of diverse perspectives. I always listen something. I always say, yes, beta, you beta, that beta. And if, like today, I said, everybody has to speak. Everybody has a brain. Everybody has, if you believe in, for example, the Almighty has given you something good in everybody. All are beautiful, all are good. Some may speak well, some may think well, some may write well, some may run well. Everybody has something good in it. You should know, you should not feel that I'm superior to anybody else. It's own unique beauty. He is like a bouquet, beautiful flowers. Even flowers with spines are good in bouquet. They hold the other one. So if you think that positive way, things will be better. Now, consequence of biases, quickly, please. The time today we have very short, so I've tried to involve you as well as Erosion of credibility, consequences. If you are having biases, what will happen? What are the consequences? Number one, erosion of credibility. What is this? Those who have not spoken yet. You, man, you. Trustworthiness of academic work. You will not have any trust. You will not have any, what I'm saying is it will have no impact on you. So that is that the credibility of a teacher, of of a researcher. If you write something, people will not believe you if you have all those biases that we said in the previous slide. And then the next one is
Inequitable learning environment. Bias in teaching can create an unequitable learning environment impacting student experience and limiting exposure to diverse viewpoints.
inequitable learning environment. Opportunity नहीं होगी लोगों. This you will be selecting only few to speak. Not everybody will have an opportunity to talk. Reinforcement of stereotypes. Going to the back. These white gowns people, two of you. Yeah. Of stereotypes. Inequality within academia. So then you will have, for example, if you are recruiting only your student who have graduated with you on a positions, for example, bias. You think you're trustworthy, you know her or him is good for you, the team, but otherwise you are creating a sort of environment which is what we call it self-hybridization kind of thing. You're cloning your own people, your own thinking, your own one mindset, no diversity. And then mitigate, how to mitigate it. Now, three of you, you could quickly please, yes, go ahead. Research design, data collection, and interpretation, diverse perspective. Take everybody on board. That is the beauty. Even if you don't agree with the thinking or with the statement or with whatever. Another one, transparent methodology, please. Yes.
Transparency in research methodology and teaching approaches, making it easier to identify and address potential biases.
Good. The last one, continued education. Yeah, go ahead.
Continued education provide ongoing training for research and educators on recognizing and mitigating bias to create a more
inclusive, equitable academic environment. These words, four words: inclusive, academic, equitable academic environment. Can you get it? Inclusive, involving everybody. Equitable, those who are shy in speaking, those who cannot. It's not equity. It's not that I give a chance to everybody, but I encourage those persons who speak less so that I grow them. And that is my job as a mentor, to handhold, to bring everybody. So those are the few examples that we have. Now, we are going to collaboration. What ethical challenges or issues we have in collaboration? Very quickly, if you could, please, you may have already written it. I already posed this question to you, but this is the answer already because of, the time. You better. Yeah, in the center. No, that, you, yeah, you. Yeah, please go ahead. What is common ethical issue number one? Integrity of collaborative research. If you haven't decided with each other, if you have say, no, I want to be number one, number two, number 10, whatever. So that will then, the collaboration will not be successful. It will stop there, then and there. Next, please. Data ownership and sharing, intellectual property. One again. You, yes, you have spoken. Yeah, better. You. So please go ahead. Data ownership and sharing. Because different collaborator will have different expectations and priority. They will say, keep it little more, let's have some more data, let's have publication a year later, but there is a student who needs a PhD degree. So the priorities are different of collaboration. A teacher and a student or whoever, and somebody may be getting promoted by one publication. Conflict of interest. Who has so far not spoken? कौन रह गया भाई? आप रह गए? Please go ahead. जरा ऊंचा बोलो बेटा, वो पीछे वाले सुन. Everybody should listen.
Collaborators may have competing interests that compromise the dignity of the research or the fairness of collaborative.
So, if you have a conflict of interest, if you have something better, you avoid. The last one, unequal contribution. You, please.
Unequal contribution can lead to fairness and credit allocation, affecting collaborative relationships.
So there is that the fairness and credit allocation. If someone is having just have designed a project, for example, a student is working. I have just designed a project, and there are 10 people, and I say no, I should be number one. No. So those are the issues that we need to talk about. Now, few more. अब क्या किया जाए? Mitigation. क्या किया जाए? If there are issues, so how to mitigate? Strategies for ethical collaboration. How to mitigate it? Number one, clear authorship guidelines right from the beginning. Yeah, you girl, ये जो, you, please. As when you discuss with each other, you should have said, you will be here, I will be there, this is the intellectual property, this will be published, this is the timeline, this is the whole project that we have designed. Clear cut. The next one, data management agreement. You, please. Yeah. Data management agreement. Transparent communication. And you both, one each, transparent and collaborative decision. Conflict of interest, and ensure that collaborators are at the same page. And collaborative decision making. This was number one. And I hope you got it something. Any comments? Otherwise, we go to the next one. And the next is I will be talking to you about responsible conduct of education. Just coming. Just a minute. Yes, madam. Yeah, there are two things. Sorry, I should go to the mic. The question is very good. If somebody is paying research, let's say I say that I got a project from somewhere, US, Science Foundation, or anywhere, and I got a money, and I am paying the money now to you and to everybody. And now there is a dispute. We will say that this money is mine. But remember, academia and research, money comes from wherever is the money of the society. It's not mine. It's not Science Foundation. It's your money ultimately. First, we have to understand the money that we spend is not the money of XYZ, which we know, like we got a project from somewhere, and we say this is the project, I got it, I wrote it, my project, and let's say Uzbekistan paid me or somebody paid me, and I'm on the owner of the project. But one basic principles you should understand that this money is not anybody's money except the money of the society, taxpayer money. You got it. So your question is very good. If the money is mine, What about the labor? Now, in materialistic world, you have to define the amount of the money or the labor work that you heard. Hypothetically, you ask a question that even if I have billion of dollars, if nobody works for me, what to do with that? And let's say the other way around, if I have not much money, but I do something which is good, useful, I found a drug, indigenous knowledge, I found a plant, like yesterday you spoke about it, about cancer or something, which with a little work, if experimented, can cure even one human, which one is great? So that is that initially when you have a project, you have a money, you have to discuss with each other. What we prefer is if student has a lot of hard work to be done, should be the first author. And if you are sharing data, now it depends the amount of the data or amount of the hours of the hard work that you have done. And we usually prefer corresponding author is another key area when normally, even there are voices, sometimes today is a less time, but otherwise I will be speaking, maybe I will speak today even with responsible conduct, the journals and the details and the names. If a name with an author of USA and UK goes somewhere with a known professor, is processed quickly, and a junior person from Pakistan or from some developing country may have an excellent idea. When we speak of ethics, we don't speak about one country or one individual or one lab. This is international, global. I work with UNESCO, and we talk this globally, that the people from the low and middle income countries are at disadvantage because first you ask them, let's say $1,000 fee, for example. Now, $1,000 fee for them, even for a professor, is something, कितना होता है? 1 lakh होता है? कितना? 3 lakh, something, 300,000 rupee. 300,000 rupee is not if a stipend of a student, they may be of a year money for MPhil student, maybe 1 year's stipend. So those are the ethical issues that open science and all that. So your question is very right. Those collaboration, those issues should be discussed right in the initial period when you have collaborating with someone. That who will get what. Thirdly, now you have money, but you are gone to the Kohistan, is a mountain area in Pakistan, and you got a plant, and you ask somebody about the indigenous knowledge. This is UN, CBD, that access and benefit sharing. The plant is from Kohistan. The knowledge is based on the indigenous knowledge of those people. You got a very high compound and earn billion of dollars. But what are they getting out of it? If they were not there, if the plant was not there, if indigenous knowledge was not there, your billion of dollars were nowhere. So that is the international intellectual property question again, the access and benefit sharing. Should they allow you to take the plant? Or should they stop? No way. Don't do any research. I don't need it because I'm not getting anything out of it. Secondly, if you got something out of it, a good compound for cancer treatment, for diabetes, for blah, blah, but you're not doing anything to them. Did you build a road for them? Did you give them money for them? Did you give something 0.1% of your income to the community? Or you just take a little plant and have tissue culture, grow in your own greenhouses and use it and produce, have a drug synthetic, and that's it. So those are the questions that you need, but it's a very pertinent question. Let's go very quickly now because of, please.
Said about the E50 communities, like we are studying a community in which there is something like this community is more vulnerable to the addiction or crime activity or something bad or we are stigmatizing a particular community. But there is also a data which is pointing out something like this, that this community is actually vulnerable to the addiction. So is it a bias or is it a data which is the real scientific data? How as a leader I would
Yeah, again, Again, I got it, your question, and very good question again. I wish I could have few days with you, and I could. This is another area that we need to talk about. When we say ethical principles, the ethical principles, one of the component is informed consent. Like your example was that you are working with a community that is drug addict or some addict, or they have some values or some concept which are not good for them in the long run, and you want to do some research. For example, there is a society who are vulnerable when they drink milk, they cannot digest it, for example. And there is a society, by the way. I'm not naming it because of your question, but I'm telling you. There is a society that when they drink milk, they cannot digest it and they vomit it. So you want to work with them. So the first principle is informed consent. And informed consent says that you have to take them on board, telling them that we want to work for you for this project, for this problem. Would you mind it if you disclose it that you are doing this because we are finding solution for you? If they agree that you should be doing it, you are doing it for them. If they say thank you, so thank you. This is not only for a society, this is even for a patient. If it, in our society, when we take someone to hospital, the doctor should give him several options: operation, some medicine, or exercise, or nothing. It's the choice of the patient. If says no, thank you, I don't want to operate myself, even if I'm dying, so die. So that is again informed consent. So for such things, there is another subject which someday invite me again, Nadeem sir, and I will come again to talk to you about all other issues that we have in this. Today, because unfortunately the time, so we have kept it a bit simple. Now, let's have this one, responsible conduct in research and education, scientific integrity. When I was talking to you, the dual use of education, and how should you be behaving if you are working on life sciences or chemical sciences or whatever, science subjects. So, what are the issues? Do you understand? Whatever you are doing, what should be you keeping in mind when you enter the lab, when you get out of the lab, etc., etc. So this is, let's talk about it. पहले तो ये कि synthetic biology, what is it? How many of you know synthetic biology? Not many. Anyway, this is something new, which is that you can use the digital and engineering system to understand the biological system, how it works, and then you can the component. I mean, now you understand because of the knowledge that we have. And while speaking earlier to the question of that girl, like digital information, we all sequence, let's say viruses, bacteria, when we do our research and submit sequence and get information that this is the sequence. That data is used by companies to produce vaccine, billions of dollars. But what you get out of it? Like you are 40 students, you are all working in virology or microbiology or all this, for example. And you are sequencing things. For your publication, you need to have a number. You submit it to the gene bank. You get a data, you publish it, and that's it. That data of millions of students on virology and is used to create a vaccine, to develop. If that data is not there, they cannot make a vaccine. But you get nothing out of it. So again, the question of intellectual property. Here, now synthetic biology, we have grown so far in digital technology and other systems that we don't need sometimes biological material. Only the chemicals, the chemist can make a living thing. We have already developed a virus polio, not from polio, but from chemicals. We had no template. We had only chemicals and we had a virus. And now we can make protein, we can make system, we can make living organism. And they say, if there is no ethical consideration, in next 30 years, you can have synthetic human being with chemicals only. No mother, no father, no sperm, no egg, no template, nothing, but a human being. Robot is already there with a fleshy robot. I mean, not with the steel or with the fleshy robots are already there. They are programmed like husband and wife. They can talk to you. They can, whatever you program them. When I come home, please smile. When I come home, give me that dish. You say, hi, guy, lovely. How are you? Tired, all this. So you need a living organism to marry. I mean, in a real. You have that artificial intelligence based wife available or husband available for you. No chak. So that is the life that is coming up, and this is what is happening. And this is what I'm saying. 2050, you may have it if you don't consider that. So what the scientists say, that what Allah or Almighty had created, we read it. We read it means we know the genomic data, everything, and now we want to rewrite it. So that is if you want to claim to be a super scientist, things may go wrong, and this is what we need to discuss. This is the virus I was talking to you that was reported, created, and this was in, I think, somewhere 2002 or something. On one side, you spend $1 billion to eradicate polio. Another side, you are creating in the lab. For what? They say it's better to develop a better vaccine. But if it escapes from the lab, then if somehow, intentionally or unintentionally, if it goes out of the lab, then even with COVID, people were thinking it's not from the wet market. It may have come from the lab. There are still, I mean, WHO investigated, etc., but there were some doubts on that. So there was another one. 1918, we had an influenza pandemic virus, killed millions of people 100 years back. And it was eradicated from the world. It's no more there. But there were some dead bodies available, and some scientists were so crazy, they wanted to recreate Spanish flu virus. Just to see. Now we have technology. At that time, there was not that technology advanced. Now we want to see how it acts, why it killed so many people so quickly. So, I mean, at that time, when the population was much, much lesser, today you are 7+ billion or 8 billion people. That time it was not that. And a large chunk of population was, killed or died because of this. But you are recreated. So that is what I'm talking about, dual use of education. Why? The question. Or they say, oh, we want to see how was the virus, what was the, proteins and all that, blah, blah, blah. So, like this was once in a lab, they were working with a lab, this, you call it bird flu. So they started working on it to see. Bird flu was normally that it was with contact. If you touch, if you have, you get it. So what they thought is, what will happen if it goes airborne? Okay, without touch, you can get it. So let's study it. And in that process, and they were trying to mutate it, to the virus so that it goes airborne and they could understand. But again, the question is, if it really goes airborne, then? So those are the questions that are posed to you. And there was a lot of fears of bioterrorism or accidentally released from the lab, etc., etc. And it was, then the publication, the journal, the editors were thinking whether to publish this or not. This is if you are an editor, if you are a reviewer, you have to give your verdict. That if we publish it, some non-malicious, some terrorists may get it and develop it. Or आजकल develop करना is not a big deal. If you have the sequence, you order it, you make it, you develop it. So how many of you, if you are an editor and this paper comes to you, shall you allow them to publish it or not? Yes. How many of you want to publish it? Oh. Uh-huh. Okay, you are in favor of publication. Let's keep it simple. And all others, those who are not to publish it, how will science grow if we don't publish it? How will we know that this thing can happen? Now, like we debate sometimes, small children comes, one is in the pro, one is on the opposite side. कि पाकिस्तान बन गया अच्छा हुआ कि ठीक हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, for example. Now here is that we have a lab which is trying to have a virus to convert it from only contact to become an airborne what protein, what system is involved. And if it does that, they may create a virus, a vaccine in advance. For example, if the virus mutates in the nature 10 years down the road and becomes airborne, we will already have a vaccine. This is the positive thinking of a scientist. But the fear is, like I said, so those who says we don't want to publish it, one of you, why don't you want to publish it? Who can defend yourself? All of you said we don't want to publish it simultaneously. Why you don't want to publish it, madam? You are against the publication. Why? This is the question.
केसेस जो है मतलब हम जो बताते हैं प्रमोट कर रहे हैं दूसरे को आप क्यों दे रहे हैं कि फर्दर वायरस को कहाँ से प्रिपेयर किया जा सकता है या कुछ.
So there are views. She says I'm in favor. So this is the dual use dilemma. This is what we call a dual use question. This is what we need to discuss. Then, when this is what I talked to you, airborne, and then there was a lot of debate, and there was a discussion on Nature, a very good journal, whether it should be published or not. This was keeping in the drawer for 2 years, not to publish it. And finally, they decided to publish it, some part of it, so that there is a clue still available, not to be misused. Another project. चले आज जितने भी हो गया, whatever. So should not be rushing, na? The time limit, we want to close it at 12 because of Juma prayers. So do you want me to rush it, or let's we go slowly, whatever happens, and then slowly is good. This is another project. And this incidentally, I was in a meeting too. In one of the meeting of higher level, they decided to make a spray of a fungus, to spray on the drug plants, like opium, like in South America, we have some plants that are used to create drugs for, to use as a, and same was in Afghanistan, poppy. So they try, okay, it is good if we create a fungus thing and spray it from the air and kill all the poppy. What they say in Urdu, na rahega baans na bajegi bansuri. Do you think it is a good project? How many of you think it is a good project? Yeah, why? Good, shabash. So it's good to kill them from the air and just eradicate all the poppy crop. And all of you says, no, it's not a good idea. Why? And then I will explain it. I'm favoring which group. Anyone who hasn't spoken? Who hasn't spoken? Yeah, madam, you. There was a thinking that we should have spray a fungus on a poppy crop.
Why you think about it, you can damage the environment of that land first. The second one, it depends on the humans who is going to fight the plants and cars. And third one, there is another side who use it as black market. There are three options, so you have to decide. But for me, we are not. The first one is more natural and has higher impact. How do you think if we destroy and remove all the plants from the land, what will we get after that?
Good. Now the question is, if you spray a fungus, imagine all crop is gone. Okay, where will the fungus go? Will it need a passport and visa to enter into Pakistan? Number two, will it again is a parasite, it needs some food, may go to wheat, to other. How will you stop them? You will say, no, don't go there. You only kill this plant. Like there are several, and it is injurious to human too, in the environment. And maybe there is so this was the biological eradicated program for Colombia. There are some illicit drugs in Central Asia, like Afghanistan, they plan it. And what happened there was the fungus name was Agent Green, that kills all this, fusarium. And you know that fusarium can kill several other species also, the environment. The risk was that it may harm non-target organism, not only poppy, but others too. So for science, you need ecological people too, those who could tell you okay, what will happen to the biodiversity, what will happen to the other non-target organism. This was a question when we had GMO for cotton, etc., that they may kill honey bee, for example. No, you secure future world with the grow with killing a poppy. You are not securing future, you are destroying nature in a way. Poppy तो गई एक limited area से उस साल, लेकिन वो जो fungus है, where will that fungus go? You solved one problem, not solved completely because you cannot spray the whole country or the whole world. Number one. Number two, what will happen? This is what I'm saying. We are saying, the lady said, and I'm saying, in the environment, this will kill other organisms, beneficial, your ecosystem will be disturbed. This will have an unpredictable consequences. They will kill all. आपको गंदे भी नहीं मिलेगी खाने. People will die. You have two options. One man is addicted with drug. The other is that everybody dies of hunger. What will you prefer? And biodiversity disruption of ecosystem. And the next is the species evolve very quickly. This may have a number of other crops like tomatoes, peppers, flowers, corn, wines, etc., etc. हर चीज खत्म. सिर्फ वो ये नहीं. This is what we are saying. How will you teach the fungus? Please only kill poppy. You will tell them. Can you do that for us? If you do that, I will send you to that team, which we stopped not to doing that. If you can teach the fungus, please, आपके दुश्मन को मारे और आपको कुछ ना करे. And I tell you another story, a funny story. Once in a newspaper, an item appeared that US with India is created a virus, this what you call dengue virus. Lahore dengue is now very common, but 10 years back or 15 years back, it was not there. So they thought it is basically developed in India with the help of America, and they send it, throw it in Lahore. This appeared in a small newspaper. So I went and this journalist asked me a question, sir, do you think, because people think I know something about this subject. So I said, okay, but you first answer me one question and then I answer you 10 questions. Number one, Amritsar is 1 kilometer from Wagah. Oh, sorry, Amritsar is 26 kilometers, but the border is 1 kilometer. Will that virus need a visa and passport to go back to India? You think they will need a passport at the border? They will not go to India because they are coming from India. They don't want to go back to their country. And you can check the virus for their visa and passport. If you can do that, of course they will develop and throw it here. If not, why should they be doing it? So that is the first question that you should understand. And that's what we call another subject, infodemic. In this corona crisis, a bigger problem was, misinformation, disinformation. Sanamuki cow, you will be all right. And Sanamuki is for constipation. The patient got it and spent the day in the washroom. So corona was one, and now having different songs in the bathroom is another one. So those are the questions that you need to understand when you talk about a subject. And you as a scientist, you are not questioning it. You have no contribution in it. That's why today I'm here to talk to you for these couple of hours. And health hazard, if you have that fungus as a human, you will have dermal and respiratory difficulties. You cannot. So these are low, and the mortality rate, if that fungus attack you, is 50 to 80%. You will die. So, madam, shall we spray now? ठीक है? जवाब तो नहीं यार, करें क्या ना? नहीं करें. You're still thinking you want to kill 80% of the people along with the poppy? And the addiction rate of the population was only 1%. 1% of the population is smoking. This is what is happening now, even today, that why they are bombing somewhere. So might is right. वो कहते जी हमारे लोग हशीश पीते हैं, हम उस हशीश के सोर्स को ही खत्म करते हैं. And this is happening, and this is what we are teaching you, and not only you. This I'm speaking not only here. I speak, maybe I'm Kenya, say, and I'm traveling again. We are teaching this to the world. That even if you are doing it, आपका question सही है. Why you are thinking about this? Number one. Number two, another question. Another question was, this was last century. I was in Japan and we were in a meeting like this. I was a young student. Man, I was not here. Somebody else was here and I was in your place. And I raised my hand and I said, the poppy price for the hashish is, let's say, $100 for X gram, for example, or a kilogram. And the poppy price, the poppy that is grown in India also, in Australia, so when it is bought by the companies, those who produce injection morphine, etc., as a legal injection for operations, etc., this is $300. So why don't you buy from the farmer? You don't want to buy from this is a very good environment, very good type of poppy. It's very good for human. Dual use ki aaj lesson hai na yahan pe. So why you want to buy it? Why you want to spray it? So those are the questions internationally that we have to ask. ठीक थोड़ा सा आगे चलते हैं. So this is I'm going a bit quick. The evolution in science, in biology, including in your, science of chemistry and physics and everything, how this synthetic biology and now genome editing, CRISPR-Cas9, you all may have heard about it. And why I'm speaking to chemists about synthetic biology, this is another question. The question is, the biology is no more a biology, and chemistry is no more chemistry alone. Unless you work interdisciplinary, you cannot complete the work. So you should understand basics of both, and that's how, as I said, you can make a human organ, not from the human, any part from the human, just from chemicals. And then you can develop it. And there are several examples. So this is how you develop, and this is how you should be having it. And what are the dual use problem? For example, those who are basic lab skills in the lab workers, BS student, MS students, and basic chemical skills, they can work either to develop drugs and medicine, help you out. If you have those skills, you can be used, you can be of great favor in helping us to develop drugs and medicine, or you can have a biological toxins. For example, Ricinus communis is this one, I don't know the local name now, outside in your ICCBS is also there. There's a very good plant, castor oil, but if you use as a toxin, this can kill a human. So with these skills, you can have a drug or medicine, or you can this one. And then if you're a little bit more developed, genomics, proteomics, then what you can do is monoclonal labs, biologists, diagnosis, you can do all that, or you can have biological toxin. You can extract the, what you call it, the poison for the human, or for the animals, or whatever. And so far go up and up and up. Finally here, all this, good use and bad use. So you have to teach the student that how we could be the benefit for the society. And finally, genetic defects, you can now have CRISPR-Cas9, all this. If somebody has an hereditary disease, even hereditary disease, you can cure it with gene therapy. Or you can construct a novel pathogen, dangerous, what we call it, gene drive. You can have a virus that can kill all the humans. So this is up to you to decide what do you want, to finish the world or to do something. So now, little bit more, and then I will come back to you. What should we do with all this scenario in mind? The first, leadership. Lab leaders, institute leaders, world leaders, group leaders. Your question was that why we are doing this, all this. So leadership and ethics first, how to train them. क्योंकि ये भी तो मसला है ना, leadership खराब हो तो सब गड़बड़. So that is what we should be doing. So who is a leader? Yes? Who is the leader?
There is one who knows the way, goes the way and shows the way.
कुछ समझ आए? Who knows the way, goes the way, shows the way. अब वो लीडर अगर जो नो उसको दो नंबरी का नो, if he knows that way, you will be going that way, you will show that way and you will go that way. And if that leader is man of principle, आते ये सुबह से जो तबलीग कर रहे हैं, it's up to you to decide. You want to be a leader, you want to be a boss, you want to be a manager. So we have to little bit talk about this also now. Since morning we are talking about this ethics. What is really ethics? What is this ethics? I'm beating the drum since morning, and some people ask all this, do this, do that. जो दो दफा ना बोला हो, वो बच्चा बोले. जो सिर्फ एक दफा, जो those who have spoken only once, not twice or thrice. जरा बेटा तेज बोलो, everybody should listen you.
Moral principles that control, influence a person's behavior or belief, and principles about what is right and wrong.
The definition is the principles that control your behavior, influence, belief, and principle, what is right, what is wrong. And now you have to deep thinking, how you be your behavior, your way, your thinking, your feeling, to understand what is right, what is wrong. Now there are various classes of ethics. I put it here or not. I will look into it. Yeah, it is there. Because in some societies, something is good, you clear cut, something is bad. But in some, for example, in your country, it's no problem if you have a scarf or if you don't have a scarf. But in some countries, if you have a scarf, you will have a problem. In some countries, if you don't have a scarf, you will have a problem. So then the ethics definition here, there, and there is different. Now, there are two things in ethics. G, कौन से? Again, जिसने दो दफा ना बोला हो. I want everybody to contribute. Shabash. You spoke, I think, twice. Okay, go ahead.
It refers to the basic standard of the right and wrong that describe what women are supposed to do legally in terms of rights, obligation, benefit to society, fairness, or specific virtues. Second one, please.
No, only one. Standards of right and wrong that are prescribed, that are what women should do. In terms of rights, आपका हक क्या है, आपका साथ साथ फर्ज क्या है. Usually we talk about our rights, we forget our obligations. So that goes, your right may be my obligation. Your right is that I educate you. But your obligation is that you spend time on it also. That's your duty. That's that's your obligation. But if you say, thus you have your right that I will be speaking all the time, and you're least bothered, you are that time thinking about, oh, किधर पत्नी किधर फिर रही हो, तो सारे आधे क्लास अभी भी कहीं गए हुए हैं. और उसके रीजन है, why I'm involving you. Science says that your brain can only be active for 10 minutes. And then it goes here and there in search of. So that's why the teacher have to understand, if I'm here for 2 hours, how can I keep you with me? That's why I'm going here and there and trying to wake you up. So in classroom, sometimes there is a 90-minute class and one-way traffic, bombardment. But you should be understanding that human brain only works maximum 10 minutes like this, and then goes in search of whatever his or her priorities are. Samosa khana hai, ya message karna hai, ya I don't know what are your priorities, by the way, I don't know that. My priorities are different. So ek to ho gaya. What about the next one? Feelings, laws, social norms deviate. What is it? I give you an example of scarf. There are many others. You drive here on left side, some people drive on right side. So there you have to do that, here you have to do this. So this is feelings, laws, and social law may differ with the different countries. Let's move on. So there are some more definitions, but just I give you some example like descriptive ethics, normative ethics, and applied ethics. These are the types of ethics, depending on. Descriptive is what do you or I think is right. इसको description. आपके ख्याल में आप सोचते हैं स्कार्फ पहनना ठीक है, मेरे ख्याल में नहीं. यार क्या आपने मुसीबत में डाला हुआ. For example, sometimes my daughters I have, and I never ask them what to do or not to do. When they're grown up, when they're child, we just grow them, show them our family culture and that. But then when they're grown, I don't interfere. Because if I say no, aapne karna hai, then when she goes out and she just throw it away and burn it. But if she is grown up like that, it's her choice. So that is what do you think? Descriptive and then normative is how should you and I think? This is what I'm saying. You should and I think that's your personal right. हाँ, मैं अक्सर अपने students को भी कहता हूँ कि you have freedom of speech, you have freedom of interacting, you have freedom of talking to people. But remember, we are in Pakistan, we have a culture, you have a religion. So either you claim you don't have it. So sometimes your right is somebody else's problem. For example, if you have a mini skirt in roaming in ICCBS, so some other person's feeling you have to understand. तो मैं उन्हें यही कहता हूँ एक दूसरे से बात करो जैसे तुम घर में बात करते हो, लड़का लड़का, no issue. But remember, if she wants to talk to me and he says no thank you, so no thank you. Should not take it other way around. This is, you should not impose yourself on others. So there are others. Applied ethics is how do you and I take moral knowledge and put into practice. This is applied. The knowledge we get, put it into practice, real practice, that is what we call it. Now there are different approaches. One approach is precautionary principle. And that is, precautionary principle is, अब अच्छा अब ये सब कुछ कह के dual use education, we saw everything, but that doesn't mean that we should not be doing science. Not doing science is the most unethical. Science तो करनी है, human की खातिर, अपने खातिर. You have to do it. That is good. I got a big award in UNESCO and I spoke this. Somebody questioned that. You mean we should stop science? No, we should be doing science, but with precautionary principle. And that principle is that if you think there is a threat, uncertainty, then prescription alert. For example, if there is a threat which is uncertain and some kind of action is mandatory. 4 words. Threat, uncertain, action, mandatory. Got it? Or you need more explanation? Okay, let's move on. Now again in ethics. Utilitarianism, bit difficult to pronounce, but utility of your action. What is the utility of that? And that is that the action is right. Sometimes some actions are that this may have consequences. So here it says the action is right if they are useful for the benefit of majority. अब ethics के question आते हैं कि what should be done. So if the action has benefit for majority of the humans, that is ethical. Or the doctrine that an action is right as far as it promotes happiness, and that the greatest happiness of the greatest number of people, and guiding principle of conduct. We move on. There are 5 principles of ethics, autonomy, justice, beneficence, ये क्या है? Earlier somebody asked the question about KG society ke bare mein, we want to work, and if this is how we disclose it, etc., etc. So these are those principles how to work on it, and that is there are 6 ethical principles specifically when we talk about climate change, etc. Nowadays we are in problem the whole world. So those 6 principles are prevention of harm, precautionary approach, equity and justice, sustainable development, solidarity. What does this mean? Ethics, solidarity. And solidarity means, for example, the climate change, we have issues, and for this you need biodiversity, you need plants, you need to care, to have less pollution, etc., etc. You encourage that the plantation, for example, we have very beautiful mountains in the west or northwest of Pakistan. So now the question is, you want to keep them because of many things: climate change, biodiversity conservation, rain, etc., etc. But the solidarity question demands the people living on those mountains, they don't have food to eat, they are poor, they have no hospital, they have no doctors. And you say, keep these plants, they are very good for us, for you, for everybody, for them too, but for you too. But you are not willing to give them any food. The solidarity demand that you help them, you find them ways and means to survive, to educate their students, to have access to the health facilities, etc., etc., and then demand to keep all this. Otherwise, he will say, my child is dying of hunger, and you say, keep this plant. To hell with your plant. And I don't have anything to cook meal, and you say you don't cut branches to have wood, to have a fire. You in Karachi should have a gas and electricity and everything, and they should not have anything. So that is that your government and everybody should think about them. That is solidarity. One example, many others. ठीक हो गया? Let's move on. अब आपकी obligations क्या है? Read it for a minute and then. Three obligations. Number one. आपकी क्या भाई आपकी obligation है? हमने rights की बात तो की. Now we talk about your obligation. Those who haven't spoken for second time, please, quick. Number one. Obligation to. Yeah, go ahead. Anyone? Go ahead.
Who will build their work on the current research.
Got it? To honor the trust of their colleagues, आपको क्यों PhD में दाखला दिया गया? Why you are here? Why you are the privileged class in Karachi University or in ICCBS in a very top-notch organization. Now you got it. It was your right. Your obligation is to trust the trust that your colleagues have put on you. Responsibility to mentor the next generation, those who are not lucky like you to come here, and who will build their work on current research discovery. To tell them that you are doing on the cutting edge. Two.
Obligation to themselves, responsible conduct and research can make it impossible
to achieve the goal. Irresponsible conduct, if you are not, your conduct is not, behavior is not as per the norms and ethics that whatever we are speaking since morning, irresponsible conduct will make impossible to achieve the goal what we are saying to you up. Third, yes, obligation to you decide for yourself that whatever my action would be, society or nobody will harm of my action. That's it. This is a sort of an oath. By the way, My lab, when MPhil or PhD student graduates, takes an oath. And it's on online, you can watch it on one of our YouTube channel, it is there. So everybody has to take a oath, such kind of things are there. And I recommend you read that oath. On my name, you can find it. So, research community safeguard, how to make everything responsible, how to make the community, research community with scientific integrity. What is your role? Where do you stand in these roles? There are several roles: institutions, researchers, funding, journals, government regulatory agencies, whistleblowers. चुगली करने वाले. Let me take it in a rough way. Yes, please go ahead. Researchers should reproduce, expand on, openly debate research results. That should be open and all that. Funding agencies should ensure that funding is not misused for bad purposes. Journals and peer review we already discussed. Government regulatory authorities and institutions like this should have a culture of research integrity through mentoring, education, and policy. Like today, they have arranged, they have asked me, I came yesterday for something else, but they asked me to talk to you about this. So this is the institution responsibility to give you an history that's coming. Good. So that is in, and this was not the last pandemic, by the way. Today I have not presentation on this, otherwise I should have tell you in the history what happened last almost 1,000 years. कितनी दफे इस तरह के pandemic आए. So the lesson learned is science-led preparedness. We have to act very quickly on science advice, precautionary approach, what we call it. This is the one we have to do, test, test, and test. Always think globally, act locally. Because these viruses, this pandemic with this modern traveling mechanism, you cannot keep it in one. It will go. It is initiated in a small town, it went global, and it will have. So number 3 now we started. And if any comments from online people, please have somewhere in your chat box. I will try to respond. Unfortunately, I didn't involve them because of time. I wish we could have been for 2 days together. Ji.
Sir, how to avoid self-plagiarism? Like if I submitted a piece to APC and from same piece I want to publish it.
Yeah, that's again a very good question, and many students suffer for that. One is that you submit paper before. Number 2 is that you inform HEC there is a rule that you can publish your own paper from your own thesis. But then the question comes that if you are publishing from your own thesis, your own work, you and supervisor is okay, but sometimes you put 3, 4 authors. Then again the question comes that it's your work, your supervisor guidance, what else they are coming in. So that's again the problem that you will be having. So I'm sorry, I was talking to you. Let me have the third one. Just it's already being shared, no? I'm just going very quickly. These slides, I'm coming back. We can talk more. Ethics standards, workplace ethics, human rights, all this, you guys, your problems. Now something about that was there. But the leadership, that how a good leader is, as we said, multiracial, multicultural societies like Pakistan, we should not be, we have different ethnicities with color, race, region, gender, religion, etc., etc. So good leader is how he keeps a balance, how he encourages everybody. If he is on religion based, should not discriminate or whatever. Specifically, Karachi is a much more, diverse kind of a city. And then this role of a good leader to promote harmony, equity, inclusiveness, involving everybody, promoting commonality, inspiration, charisma. Attract people yourself, not on your, stick. If people love me, they love me. Believe me, I meet many people, even yesterday, I don't remember, frankly speaking. But they still, even international friends. So that's what you need to do for social integration. Look for common grounds, promote sense of empowerment, equality, fairness, and justice. What is the research? मेरी बोतल के ये तो मेरी नहीं है, लेकिन ये भी मेरी मैं लाया था वो रूस से हमने अपने लिए रखी थी. I might have. Oh, here we have. Yes. So, what's this Ammaji is thinking? What should you be doing? Why you are here? One, science to address question, getting the answers right. Sometimes it may, have difficult answers for you. Working on the cutting edge, that today we are talking about synthetic biology and all that. This may challenge your false belief. And avoiding fooling yourself, finding that we are wrong. Sometimes you may have some thinking in mind, but it may not happen that way. And better understanding the world. These are the strategies that we should have. Conflict. When you have conflicts, when we talk about conflicts, what comes to your mind? Is it a jagda, war, or what comes to your mind? This is the one question. Like you think is a fighting, aggression, hatred, fear, struggles, or can you think positively? It's a challenge, an opportunity, energy, passion, creativity, engagement, discussion. So that is the difference of conflict. Somebody, you don't want, KG, you are wrong. Somebody says, oh, this is wrong. You say, oh, this is wrong. No? Or jagada shuru. यार आपने again I take many times the scarf, this is easy for me. आपने क्यों पहना हुआ discussion शुरू? Come on, man. Take it positively. So those are the questions that we need to address. And there are ways of conflict resolutions, how to resolve conflict. If you have it, so like you ask a question that if you want to inform whistleblower, how to resolve the conflict. There are scientific ways and means to resolve the conflicts. And then how to practice if you are caught in a conflict, if you are in argument with somebody, how should keep yourself cool down This is again a scientific mechanism you should understand. Take a sigh of relief. Because your no is a biology. Your body is warm, its temperature high, your mind is blowing, many things are happening to you. So you understand it will happen. And that is the time to keep yourself cool. And how to keep yourself cool, you should understand all that. This is how you know these are steps. Let go the story. उस वक्त न करो, सोच लो. And then come on, focus on your body. शायद आप सारे हिल रहे हो. आपको पता ना. You don't know that you are shriveling. You don't know that what's happening to you. People kill people. Look what happened in Lahore last week, 2 weeks back. A guy hit a car, called his mamu, comes with a gun, kills the girl. And now suffering for whole life, maybe hanged. So that is what, conflicts in time of conflicts. So how should you think? Take a breath and, 1, 2, 3. So, openness, how should we be doing all that? Some practice, principle and policy, 3 Ps. How should we be doing that? The policy should be inclusiveness, innovation, funding, infrastructure, intellectual property, incentive, etc. Because there are a lot of things that are happening. The data of 1,000 postdocs interview shows that 25% of them said that they have omitted data, they have, bad things they have done. Journals, issues, value, what is, and the problem with all of us is this impact factor dilemma. Because we are not, I'm not talking about Pakistan, it's the world problem. Impact factor, citation, impact factor, H index, all blah, blah, blah. And everybody is worried. No science, just about this. So if this problem is resolved, how to measure, an individual performance rather than impact factor, citation, and H index, the better ways where means can be found and we can work better. So for that, you pay and whatever you want, you publish. It's another problem. Pay and publish. Dollars, dollars, and dollars. So, and that comes with the fake journals, a lot of journals now. 20 years back, number of journals than today. Even HEC says every department should have a journal. And they should, again, but impact factor S, W, X, Y, Z, etc., etc. Those are the issues that we need. The disaster of impact factor we need to be addressed. And so here were something that how can we do better research, 3 areas, 9 topics and many actions that we need to take to have better research. I'm sorry, Nadeem, I'm going quick so that we finish by time. Another issue is this one. Really a problem everywhere. Mashallah, girls are outperforming the gentlemen. And sometimes, when it comes to the job or to the positions, then there is an issue. And then there are several questions, professional success, the opportunities and leadership. In your own whole history, only one lady was prime minister, I think. Nobody so far a president of the country, I think. Rana Liaquat Ali Khan was not, no? So there was nobody. So all this 50% population is, has no brain. These are the questions that we need to address. And so abilities of women, this is scientific based. No intelligence difference between the both genders. Both are, mashallah, intelligent. And there were some myths. Women are equally good as men in every field, etc., etc. So that gender equality and equity, that also needs to be addressed. And we should have some to promote success stories, like, you believe it or not, Benazir Bhutto, mashallah, came out. Some, maybe she was privileged that born in that family, but and Indira Gandhi and also many. So there are people who did something. And in ladies too, they were strong in the given environment that they had faced. So you can do it. And there are some myths. इनको कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, सिर्फ शादी करने के लिए आएंगे, और इनको कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है मेडिकल की डिग्री सिर्फ शादी के लिए कर, वगैरह वगैरह. देयर आर myths. So we have to fight those myths that this gentleman is having. Women aren't good as a science as men, vagara, vagara. So these are all myths. No scientific grounds for that, that we need to understand, and the future direction for women, that we have to help them out and we have to know their abilities. I give you one example. It's not related to you, but science says that the age of 50s of women, they face some problem, physical problem, that we should understand. We should not bully them at that age, because it's physical, it's God created problems. I'm not talking detail of it, our society doesn't like it, but that is the time that we all senior have to help them out. Sometimes they leave even job in the West, the cycle that disturbs at that time. So we should understand science, and then we should be working with it. I think I go very quick on this, and responsibilities and all this. Just to show you the leadership. क्या है भाई, एक बंदा पढ़ लो, मैं जब तक मैं कोई I have another quick. ये नीचे देखें, अगर ये हम इंसान होते तो कई लोग नीचे गिर चुके हो. The leader takes you to the time. Ordinary people, they get extraordinary result out of them. That is the leader, and that is how should we be doing. So this is done, and let me see how many slides are there. If there are 5 or 19, but just I roll them down in 2-3 minutes and I finish. And then I give you 10 minutes to if you want to talk to me. We have 10 minutes, 3 minutes, and then 7 minutes to you, and then that's it. So because मैंने इस पे बड़ी मेहनत की थी जहाजों में और केन्या से आते हुए, I try to make something for you. Unfortunately, time is not. Integrity in publications and solutions. These are various problems that comes when you talk about publication. These are various problems, including misrepresentation of research, academic dishonesty, pressure to publish. You need paper, you need, and then there are several, problems associated with all this. So I had put these questions for you today. We have no time, but you note it. You can take a picture. What is? How to ensure publication integrity? 2, solutions to the problems that we have here. How to ensure? What are the problems? And how do you know issues related to fake research? Please suggest some solution to the issue. This was for you. कि आपको क्या पता है और आपके ज़हन में उसके लिए क्या solutions हैं. These were questions that I was putting for you today, but you note it down, and the answers are here. First, guidelines, develop detection technology. How can you detect plagiarism, etc.? Now it's everything available. Encourage transparency, promote data sharing, etc., etc. And here is strengthen regulation, awareness, peer review, collaboration, quality assessment, etc. These were answered to the question that I put in the previous slide. And the problems are, and their answer: plagiarism. What should we do? Solution kya hai? Data fabrication solution, data manipulation solution, conflict of interest solution, misleading or incomplete result solution, poor peer review, and solution. So they were not only question for you, not only issues raised, there were solution here. You can take a slide, and later on you may think about it, read it as your homework from now. And this practice of producing fake results by the scientists, how they do it, how academic dishonesty, etc., misrepresentation of research, this is what happens. And then the reason is pressure to publish. If you don't publish, you cannot get your thesis, for example. And then detection and prevention, overall the production of fake research. Solutions for fake research were there. Guidelines of ensuring integrity of a publication. How can you, produce a good publication? These are some guidelines for you. There was a lot of self-publication that are reported the data internationally. Gender gap, we talk about it, scientists may. How many women are there as a scientist, but how many of them are editors and editor-in-chief? Unfortunately. This is what we have to address all these issues and how to impact, social impact rather than impact factor of publication, how to go beyond the standard publication metrics. Quality assessment कैसे हो सकती है इसके अलावा भी what can we do for all this to ensure all this policy impacts etc multi-billion dollar business है there why you have a lot of authorship में you get a lot of things retraction हो रही है social media problem fraud a lot of fraud fake journals predatory journals those are the issues that we need to address all of us predatory journal issues how can we defeat them how can we identify them what are the predatory journals etc 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 thank you ladies and gentlemen 5 minutes to you and then we say goodbye to each other because I have to get to my class. Anything, 5 minutes, whatever you want. अब वो पहला दूसरा तीसरा नंबर खत्म anybody can speak. Please. Self plagiarism awareness is number one. पहली बात तो ये कि you understand कि you are doing it because you know you are doing it. ठीक है? You are doing it. You have published it. Somebody, I may not be knowing it that you write it twice because there's so many publications coming up. So the first thing is integrity in science, that you should understand that please, if you have published, so why yourself, doing it. Third is, now there, if you want to do it and if you want to just tweak the language, now there are softwares available, you can rewrite it. If you have to reproduce something which is really necessary to produce your new data that you have. So there are mechanisms, there are software available, you can do it. Next time, Nadeem Sir, when you arrange, I will be talking to them. But any comment about the workshop? Any negative things? Anything that you think that if we have done it different way must have been better? Any comment about the workshop? Assessment of the workshop, please. He thinks that let's this debate we carry on. Nadeem Sahib will arrange another gathering for us, or at least I can invite you for some online. I arrange many. I recommend to all of you. There are coming to you. There is a YouTube channel. I'm getting this recording also for other students to benefit on my name. You go and you will find answer to a lot of your questions that you have in your. Because of time limit, I'm sorry. I took a lot of. I wish I could have made it more, focus on only one, for example, only publication, for example. Then it could have been more interactive. Because we put too many things, I wanted to speak my heart to you. So that's why I made it little. And because it became a Friday, we started at, I thought I will have 4 hours, so that's it. Ji.
एक आइडियल रिसर्च एनवायरनमेंट या एक आइडियल रिसर्च सिचुएशन की बात हो रही है लेकिन रियलिस्टिक में हम चले जाते हैं तो वहाँ पे सिचुएशन डिफरेंट होती है एक इंस्टीट्यूट में हम चले जाते हैं वहाँ पे सीनियर सब ऑर्डिनेट का जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है जिसकी वजह से स्टूडेंट सब हो रहा होता है उसकी चीज आगे जा रही होती है या रिसर्च पब्लिकेशन नहीं हो रही होती है और दूसरी सर बात एक पाकिस्तान के जो रिसर्च के हिसाब से बात करें तो HSC एक इदारा है जिसको लीड कर रहा है लेकिन अभी कुछ रिसेंट एक मामला ये हुआ है कि एक यूनिवर्सिटी का जो वाइस चांसलर है वो नॉमिनेट हो रहा है एक यूनिफॉर्म डे करने तो हाउ वी कैन तो ये एक रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट और मोस्टली हम रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट को देखते हैं जैसे हमारा सुपारपुर या दीगर इदारे यहाँ पे एक साइंटिस्ट होना चाहिए वहाँ पे कुछ
सही
हम इस चीज को फिर क्या ये अकॉर्डिंग टू रिसर्च एथिक्स है
सही A very good question, and it needs a day to talk about this subject because I remain vice chancellor, and I know when I took over a university, I was in the couple of decades back. So when I joined, the registrar was a brigadier, the director was a colonel, and academic director was a major, and there were many subedars and havaldars doing all this. A small university, a new university. And I have to deal with that. So the question is right. There are two ways of debating it. Again, it's debate. As I said, if there is a conflict, you have to listen both the arguments and you have to think deeply about it. Some people are good. For example, Nast. Nast head is always army general, but they had never any problem with the buses, with the students, with the incidents, with whatever they had. You never may have heard about it. Okay, something happened in Nast. Qaid-e-Azam University has always a professor. But even yesterday, the female were sitting in the buses and students were dancing in front of the bus. And they kept it till the dark. The girls, their sisters were sitting in the bus just for something which I don't know because I was flying coming back day before yesterday. So what I'm saying to you now, people are good. That yeah, the professor सारा दिन तो lab में रहते हैं, इनको administration rules, कानून वगैरह का, they don't know it, and sometimes there are problem of audit, money, etc., 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 because they are not well aware of the rules. They stayed in a laboratory only, for example, and on the other hand, they are disciplined, flana, flana, flana. So there are arguments. I agree with you that this is an academic. We should have trained leaders for the universities, for the department. Today I told you, what is leadership, all this. Again, time constraint. But the question is that we should train our own community so that they understand our feeling as students, etc., etc. Secondly, the regulatory authority should also have a video again there. How should be a search committee or selection board? They need training too. They don't know how to assess a candidate. Oh, looking again, paper, this paper, punch paper, this paper, and that paper. What else? You need to dig out of the candidate. So there are several questions. I totally agree with you. That's why we are a low and middle income country. We have a lot of issues. In a developed world, if you want to have a vice chancellor, there is a students voting, there is another voting, there are candidates, they debate, they interact on television, they speak. Students, teachers, everybody says he is the one. Here, we have problems. ये तो आप यूनिवर्सिटी की बात करें, कहाँ पे करने नहीं है, मुझे वो बताओ. हाँ.
जब भी हम किसी लैब में ड्राइंग करते हैं तो हमारा सुपरवाइजर होता है, सबसे पहले हमें कहता है इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर जर्नल पढ़ो. और ये मुझे लगता है सबको ही कहा गया होगा.
सबको ही कहा गया होगा.
इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर जर्नल पढ़ो, और कोई गलती हम कर देते हैं तो सुपरवाइजर कहता है कि इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर जर्नल नहीं पढ़ा होगा. तो अगर इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर जर्नल एक मेजर नहीं है एक अच्छी रिसर्च का, तो फिर क्या है?
Problem.
कैसे मेजर करेंगे एक अच्छी रिसर्च क्या होती है, एक अच्छा पेपर क्या होता है?
Yeah, very good again. And remember, whatever I'm speaking to you is not for Pakistan only. And this question is not only for developing country only. Internationally, people are thinking, your slides aapko batayi, this was not from Pakistan. This was, I think, from France or some other country, UK. The problem, the whole world is, now in dilemma. What to do with this thing? Because impact factor, impact factor, impact factor. Okay, what they check, you compete with US, UK, etc. So the whole world, because impact factor is international. So your language, and the problem that you choose, they're least bothered if you are doing a marine biology of the Karachi coast or whatever. They think about the global things and modern technology and this and that. The highest impact factor will do that, and that will not benefit your country or your society. So this is not the problem of a country or of a student. And why teachers are doing that? Because HEC wants you to have a publication in W, flana, flana, flana. And why HEC does that? Because they want to have X number of publication, etc., etc., in Q1 and Q2 and Q3 and Q4. So the problem is quite like a web. This is what we are preaching every where in the world that come on, have something like if you are doing in Karachi in marine biology, you find some solution to some kind of fish that is going to be endangered and all this, you have some data, and this is relevant to us, is more beneficial than whatever else. So this issue is common, and I'm sorry because of 12 exact. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And pleasure talking to you all and both online people. Thank you. I'm sorry I have to leave and hope to see you guys somewhere in the world. Thank you very much. And thank you, Nadeem, sir, specifically for inviting me.
Such a nice information.
Yeah, thank you. And a pleasure to speak to you. Khuda Hafiz.